Up and welcome to Sports Talk at the Sports Desk. I'm Zach Ricketts.
And I'm Chase Wharton. It's been a while.
It has been a while, with all the snow days, Chase. Not a ton really has gone on in sports. We had the Super Bowl, obviously. Then it's just pretty much been college and NBA basketball for the most part. But we're going to start off with some South basketball, actually.
Basketball is all over. No more boys or girls. We both had promising seasons and then kind of all fell down the hole when the tournaments began.
Yeah.
Boys basketball won our first game in the tournament versus
Park Hill.
Oh yeah, versus Park Hill at home.
We were the first seed, so we got a bye, and then we played Park Hill in the second round.
And we beat them in a pretty good game.
It was a good game.
We ended up winning by what, 4?
No, I think we ended up winning by 9 because free throws, but it was a really good game. We were only up by 4 with 30
For some
seconds
reason, I thought the
left.
score was 55-51. Or was that the opposite score of our St. Joe Century?
That was the opposite, something like that. Either way, South had a tight game against Park Hill, ended up winning in the end, then had a really tight game against St. Joe Central.
Double overtime,
ended up losing.
3-point.
Anthony Woods, though, those threes.
Yeah.
3 buzzer beaters.
At the end of regulation, he hit a 3-pointer to tie the game and pretty much storm the court.
Yeah.
Us fans.
The fans, that was pretty awesome to be a part of that student section.
Yeah, I went from the second row to on the court, up to the 5th row, then back on the court, and then back on my second row.
Yeah,
I don't even know how that happened.
I was also in the second row, and I was going crazy, and then I turned around, and most of the time the freshmen are cheering. Freshmen were going crazy too, and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
They just kept going literally the whole time out, a minute-long timeout, and the
Yeah.
student section was just going ballistic. It was awesome.
And Anthony hit up with 23 points and did his senior year well. He'll be playing somewhere next year.
That's right.
Most likely. I'm not sure where. I don't even think he knows.
Yeah, he doesn't know. He said he was going to try and play, though. So that's pretty cool. Girls basketball team. Both teams were the top seed. Neither team ended up winning districts, actually. The girls team actually lost in the semis to Staley, a team that they'd beaten during the season, so that was kind of disappointing. Only 5 losses on the season, though. Not an overall failure of a season, but not how they necessarily would have wanted to finish.
Yeah, they had a successful season. They were in Star a lot. They made the case Star a lot, especially Samantha Roy. We only lost 2 seniors, Courtney Clausen and Jessica Lee, and those are 2 pretty significant losses. But Mackenzie Stout will be back next year from her injury, and we're going to have a pretty good team next year, so we have some positive things to look on for both girls and boys.
That's right.
But yeah, those were pretty disappointing tournaments that we had.
Yeah.
They didn't turn out, especially because we were at home.
Yeah, we were hosting. We were both the 1 seeds, and I thought at least one of them would make it out. But that's just the way
I would have liked
sports go.
having some independence interaction.
Yeah,
but you know what? Not everything can go our way.
It is what it is. Moving on from high school basketball, actually, to some college basketball. Start off with the Missouri Tigers. They've been playing well lately, Chase.
Yeah.
If you're going into the tournament, if anything, the way their season started off. Or not started off. The way the conference season has gone, not necessarily how you wanted it to, but they're finishing off strong. They're really good at home and neutral courts.
I haven't really
the NCAA tournament.
They haven't been very successful in road games.
Right.
Obviously, we lost to our rival Arkansas at a 2-point loss. Who else have we?
On the road, who we lost?
Yeah,
we
we
got
lost to
killed by
Florida.
Florida. We should have won at Arkansas. We should have won at Kentucky. Lost all those games.
But
got
at
beat
home,
pretty bad at Ole Miss, but at home
we were undefeated for the first time
That's
since
right.
we reached the Elite 8 that year. And who knows, maybe it'll happen again this year.
I mean, we haven't lost a game yet at home, and if we can just play anything like we do at home in the tournament, where another team isn't going to be at home, where it's going to be at a neutral court. Mizzou, as physical as they are, as much talent as they have, I mean, they can honestly play with anybody. I'm not saying, obviously, I feel like they'd lose to Indiana, Duke, Florida.
If we beat
played
Florida.
But if we played Florida on a neutral site, who knows? But we did beat them at home, so we're talented enough.
You know what? I think you're wrong when you say that we couldn't compete with teams like Indiana. There's no top team this year, so I think any team can beat any team right now.
I'm not saying that we couldn't compete. I don't think that we'd win, but you are right. There isn't a top team, but
if you put us on a neutral court versus Indiana or say top team, okay, maybe Duke. I don't think we'd beat Duke since I got Ryan Kelly back, but I think if we put ourselves in a neutral court versus teams like Indiana, Florida, I think we have a strong chance. Just because of the emotional high that we're riding right now.
And the physicality that they play.
Yeah, we're on top of our game, and that's good. You're supposed to be hitting your peak at the end. That's what we're doing.
It's definitely a physical team for a basketball team. They killed Arkansas.
Yeah, but our record doesn't really show. We have a 22-8 record right now, and that doesn't really show the sign of an elite team.
It doesn't show the signs of an elite team, but think about it. We've had so many close losses. We lost to UCLA by 3 in overtime. We lost to Arkansas by 2. We lost to Kentucky in a game that we should have won in overtime. Our record, we could have 4 or 5 losses instead of 8 if we would have finished games, and that just all comes down to Phil. Honestly, at the end of the game,
he's
turning
not
the ball
clutch.
over. He's not. He doesn't hit shots at the end of the game. He's a great point guard, but at the end of the game, he's not necessarily who you want.
In that Arkansas game, it was more along the other lines. He started out pretty bad. It wasn't very clutch near the beginning of the game. Had 5 turnovers in the first half, and then he had none the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And he played the whole game. They didn't even take him out.
Yeah. We'll move on to the Kansas Jayhawks, a team that's ever since that 3-game losing streak has looked like the Kansas Jayhawks that everyone expected, a team that looks like they could easily compete for a Final Four, maybe a national championship. You have McLemore's playing like a stud. He's playing like a stud. Elijah Johnson really seems like he's kind of taking control of this team.
He's the most athletic person I've ever seen.
Elijah Johnson, really? Okay, well that's pretty cool for you to say of him. Relaford's hitting his shots, and Young's playing big, and getting rebounds, and he's flying all over the place right now.
They absolutely dominated Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And they play at Baylor to finish off the regular season. They're probably going to beat them too.
Probably going to get if K-State
number 1
wins.
seed.
Yeah, probably get a number 1
They
seed.
got to win the Big 12 championship, honestly, to do that, or maybe at least get to the championship.
Yeah. If K-State wins, if K-State and Kansas both win, they'll share the Big 12 title, or one of them can end up winning outright. So if that happens, that'll be Kansas's 9th in a row. But that leads us into Kansas State, who's also been playing good basketball.
Yeah, they're ranked 9th in the nation. They're 25-5 and 14 in the Big 12. And the Big 12's, they got the same conference record as KU.
Right.
And the Big 12's not a gimme.
The only thing is, K-State has lost to teams that they should lose to. They've lost to Kansas twice, who probably is more talented than them. I don't know who their other conference loss is. Oklahoma State. I don't know who the other conference loss is, but Kansas has lost games they shouldn't have. They lost to Oklahoma State
TCU
at home. They lost to TCU on the road. Just games that Kansas should have won. Kansas should have won this
TCU's
conference
awful
this season.
too. If you watch their games,
They've won one game in the conference season, and they've played Texas.
In one of the games, I can't remember who they played, but they didn't make a shot the first 12 minutes of the game. They had 0.
I remember that too.
Until the 8th minute.
Yeah. But that's all that we have for college basketball. We're going to move on to some Kansas City teams. The Chiefs.
Oh, man, they're having the most wild offseason of any team so far. We've gotten the blockbuster trade that hasn't really been made official yet, but it will. We got the 49ers backup quarterback Alex Smith, who has led them to an NFC Championship game. He was a former first-round draft pick, or not first overall draft pick. So he has talent there. We all know it's there. He just has to show it. And they're putting the team back together that he had just by signing Dwayne Bowe, keeping Colquitt, who's putting teams back in their 20 more than any other punter in the league, and he's now the highest paid. Keeping Brandon Albert, which messes up the first overall draft pick situation, because people thought we were gonna
take Luke Jokel out of Texas A&M, the tackle,
and tag Dwayne Bowe with the franchise tag, and then let Brandon Albert go.
So what do you think now? Who do you think they're going
to? I think we're going to trade it.
Yeah.
But the market isn't very good this year because there's not a number 1 worthy pick. So we're not going to get what they would have got last year. Say had Indianapolis or Washington had traded for first or second pick.
That's right. It's definitely open, but now that we got the quarterback, I'm not nearly as worried about it. Where you just got to go in as long as we make smart moves, and I just hope that there's nothing that they regret at the end of the season. But overall, I'm happy with it. And then another team that I'm actually happy with, Kansas City. You're repping them right now.
Yeah,
Kansas City Royals, undefeated
so
far in spring training.
We have tied our first game. We tied our first game, and that shouldn't have even been a tie. We should have won that game because there was 2 outs in the 9th inning, and the Rangers hit a 2-run home run with 2 outs in the 9th inning to tie the game. So we should be 11-0, but we're 10-0-1. Ned Yost is saying only positive things about the team. There's nothing wrong about them. And we don't even have some of our players due to the World Baseball Classic.
I know.
We just lost Hosmer today.
The USA team.
So we're gonna lose at some point, obviously in spring training, especially because we're losing our players.
And that's baseball. That's what baseball is.
Yeah, so we're gonna lose. Obviously, we're not gonna go undefeated, but it's awesome.
With the pitching staff, with the youth, if all the players play like they're supposed to.
People are excited about the 4 new guys we have. We have Danny Duffy and Felipe Paulino coming back mid-season. So we're going to have 6 guys, and we're going to end up trading one of them, obviously, because we can't keep 6 starters, and we're not going to move
Maybe we are that team that on ESPN that they always talk about, be that team. They have a lot of starting pitching. Maybe they can trade for one big bat, and that's what puts us in the postseason, The Royals make the postseason this year. That's a success. No matter what you say, I know everyone's competing for a World Series. How long has it been since the Royals been in the playoffs?
1985. That's the year we won the World Series.
That can't happen.
No, it's so long.
Got to go to the playoffs this year. But that's all that we got today. Thanks for watching. Once again, I'm Zach Rickens.
And I'm Chase Wharton. Thank you.